One step closer to justice for a South Carolina state representative and his family.
In Colombia yesterday, federal prosecutors announced that a Nigerian man was extradited to the U.S. to face charges in connection with the death of a York County State Representative's Brandon Guffey's son.
And that incident inspired Gavin's Law. It's named after the victim that outlawed sexual extortion in the state of South Carolina.
Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes joining us now. And Khalif, this is a big step. This is a huge step for a state which passed their first extortion law back in 2023.
I mean, this is a step in the right direction. You look for justice, you look for some type of closure. And as one of the attorneys said yesterday, I want to say it was the state attorney general, she said that you can't hide behind a keyboard or across the pond, that in this situation we will be able to find justice and bring you to justice. Those are the types of things you want to see. I mean, we are in a different era. We didn't grow up with the social media era that these folks are living in, where you can have an international touch and someone from across the water can inflict some type of harm on you, or would cause you to commit a suicide. So this situation was extremely unfortunate, but it's great to see that there are things in place, specifically laws where you can get him extradited to the state and the family can get some type of closure.
Now, were we surprised at how quickly, the law takes a long time, right? But for a legal proceeding, this kind of happened fast. What kind of needs to happen in order to get someone from overseas back here to the U.S.?
It's just like any other negotiation or agreement. And so part of the agreement was that the United States would agree to not seek the death penalty. And so you're not going to send a citizen of your country to America to know that they're going to face death. And so Nigeria, that was one of the requirements that, yes, we'll agree to work with you. We'll agree to make sure that we extradite him, and that won't be an issue, but it won't be to extradite to seek the death penalty. United States agreed to that. So trying to find equal footing on how you can get an agreement, and when you're trying to get two countries to agree, it's larger than trying to get two people to agree. So this was fast working, as you mentioned. This is something that normally would take a lot longer to happen, but it was great to see that the wheels of justice didn't take forever to turn in this situation.
Interesting stat here. We know FBI data shows that between 2021 and 2023, nearly 13,000 sextortion victims, most of them were boys. I want to ask, when it comes to this case, and assuming he gets sentenced and is found guilty, do you think they're going to try to make an example out of him because of how rare it is to get these to this point, and also to kind of send a message to everybody else, hey, if we find you, we're going to make an example out of you?
I think the message is already out there. I mean, if you're on the internet today and you're saying, hey, man, this sextortion type of case is out there, and they have not only extradited him, but he's going to probably spend the rest of his life in some type of prison cell. This is the criminal justice system is twofold. It's one as a rehabilitative portion, and you can be rehabilitated either in prison or out. But then there is a deterrent system. I'm going to deter you from doing this future action. How do I deter you? By longer prison sentences or having a high sentence, which is ultimately the death penalty. Normally, those two things will deter a person from committing a crime. This is, I think, the strongest type of deterrence. If I'm going to come and snatch you from your country and bring you to an entire other country to serve a sentence, I don't think there's any other way you can deter. So I think the deterrence is already there. Whatever sentence he gets after that will deter even further.
The father in this case, South Carolina Representative Brandon Guffey, of course, his son Gavin's the one that took his life. What is he hoping that maybe parents understand, or I guess going through this, what does he want parents to know?
Well, I echo what he said in the hearing, or his statements after, is that I can't save my son, but hopefully this law can save other people's children. Parents, again, you can't know everything. You can't be everywhere. And social media is ever evolving and ever growing. When you have laws like this that can protect families, when you're not there to protect them, I think that's the largest thing. I mean, I tip my hat and commend him for going through that. He stood there strong in something that I know I would have a hard time as a parent of two teenagers going through, but he fought through not for his child, but for other children. So I think that the work that's being done is something that will protect many South Carolinians in other states when they start to pick up laws like this.
Well, as you mentioned, this is fairly new, right? That sextortion is a new term with social media being this way. So all states are sort of different in how they apply this law. What do you think we can expect in terms of other states adopting harsh penalties like South Carolina?
I think other states will follow suit. I mean, once you find the model, when you find a mold, I mean, even in the legal process, generally there's these model penal codes where each state can adopt what the recommendation from the ABA would be. Something similar to that will be picked up in every other state. And if you have a sextortion case where it does result in death, and that's the harshest charge that he's charged with, it most likely would connect to a death penalty or a life in prison punishment in the long run. And so I think every other state would fall in suit with something similar. But again, this is ever growing. You're talking about sextortion 10, 20 years ago, we wouldn't even have known what they were talking about. And so now we're finding punishments for crimes that are kind of evolving as we go.
All right, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, there giving us some insight and hopefully some closure for the Guffey family.